Welcome back to the Link Up podcast. In the studio with us, we have the candidate for Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. Let me get that right.
That's right.
Mr. Nickolas DaCosta, the man with the flamethrower. We actually might get a clip of that, man.
We're burning everything, man.
Throw that up, man. The man with the cowbell and the flamethrower.
Yeah.
It actually got brought up in a chat group I was in today, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. This morning they brought up Nickolas with a flamethrower.
Nothing is held back, boy, once I get up there.
Oh, you guys look like you had some fun on stage, man.
Yeah, we always have fun. And, and I think that's the important thing, that you bring the energy as well.
Yeah.
And one thing that people need is hope.
Right.
And how you deliver that is you bring the excitement up. You bring people's hope alive. Make them see that better days are coming.
Yeah. So, obviously, you were raised in Cayman Brac?
Yep.
Okay.
All my life.
All your life?
Yep.
I wanted to say I'm a big fan of, I say it every time, almost every show, big up Star Island Donuts.
That's it, yeah. Boy, every trip that I make home and come back here, everybody always asks for donuts.
Oh
every single time.
Star Island Donuts. If you have not had them, I'm telling you from now.
Yep.
You make your trip over, even if it's a day trip.
Yeah.
Just go get you some Star Island Donuts.
Make sure you get them.
They are amazing.
Make sure. Yeah, man.
So you went to school in Cayman Brac too?
Yep. Primary school, high school, everything. And it was quite interesting too, because if you live in West Bay, you go to Johnny Come. If you live in Georgetown, you go to Georgetown. Well, I lived in West End, the western part of Cayman Brac, but I went to school in Spot Bay, on the other end of the island, because my mom was a teacher at Spot Bay.
Oh, so you just...
So I started out there, and so it was interesting because even moving into high school, all of my friends were from Spot Bay. All of the families that I knew were from Spot Bay. And then going into high school, I finally met the kids that went to West End. And some of my closest friends to this day are still from Spot Bay. So, I mean, that's why it kind of upset me when Cayman Brac got split in two, because then you had to choose sides, right?
Yeah.
In different constituencies. But I love all of Cayman Brac, all the people, because I went to schools on both sides and grew up around everybody.
So... when you went through school, everything else, your career progression and what kind of guided you towards wanting to be a public servant?
I think it's always been instilled in me. I would say that it started off probably accidentally when my mom became the Sunday school teacher, and seeing her mold young kids at church and working with them, plus being an educator, and then seeing the needs in the community. When I was in high school, I found the Leo Club. I became a Leo, helping other students in the school. And then some of my same teachers were Lions. So a natural progression, then I went into the Lions Club. Worked continuously, even when I was away at university. Every time I would come home, I put on my yellow vest and get to work.
You guys did the Leo breakfasts and everything too?
Everything, man. It's just, there's so many needs, right? And even before the government started providing lunches in schools, the Lions Club, an initiative that I started was a food pantry, a kids pantry. So we provided snacks. We would buy lunches for kids who didn't have food in schools. And we just continue to fill the gaps, because we have a saying, where there's a need, there's a lion. So from then it was always instilled in me. High school, I was open to opportunities with debates and quizzes, and it's actually quite fun. I always remember doing a quiz in high school, and we flew over to Grand Cayman. It was the Knowledge Bowl.
You don't call it Grand Cayman. You call it Grand.
Well, actually, we call it Cayman.
Okay.
Only recently it started turning to Grand.
Okay.
But if a Braca says Cayman, we know it's Grand Cayman. It's not the country. It's Grand Cayman. So I'm trying to fit both generations now by saying Grand Cayman. But yeah, when we were coming over to Grand, it was a Knowledge Bowl quiz, and we were losing. This was the finals. And I kid you not, the last 5 questions was all about Parliament and laws and government. And before they even finished the questions, I was ringing the bell and answering the questions. And we came on top by 2 points because of that.
Well, they'll come back.
Yeah, it's always been an interest of me how government works and how government works for the people.
Right.
Because that's an important part of government. It serves the people, and it needs to continue and always serve the people. So I've always had an interest in it from day one.
So I guess outside of everything, just Nickolas DaCosta yourself, where is it you want to see Cayman Brac and Little Cayman be, I guess, in the next 5-10 years? Because it's becoming more and more of a question as development grows here in Grand.
Yes, yeah.
What exactly is it going to look like in the future of Cayman Brac? Because we've had people say we need to develop the economy to a certain extent because we need more jobs over there, more opportunities. Because typically when people leave high school, if you're not working for government, the bank or core or whatever, you come in over here.
Yep. Yeah, no, and it's important that you say, what do we want it to look like in 5-10 years? Because that's what's been lacking. We always, even in Grand Cayman, we've always applied a Band-Aid approach. You look at the airport, for example, how long the airport in Grand Cayman took to be developed. And as soon as it was done, it was already at max capacity. We don't have that forward planning and long-term strategy for anything in this country. Nothing. So I think it's important. We see what has happened in Grand Cayman with the development, with the population growth. And right now, the Sister Islands has an opportunity to say, okay, in 5 years, 10 years, we understand that certain things need to grow. Certain things need to grow immediately to serve the people that are there now. But where do we see that growth taking us in the future? What are the needs going to be, and plan for it? Because we can't just wake up one morning and say, okay, well, we need to spend $10 million on this. Where are we going to find the $10 million from? And then we wait 10 years to play catch up.
Right.
And we never get there. So it's important that I think right now we get the input of everybody that's in Cayman Brac to say, where do you want Cayman Brac to go? What do you see as the future for Cayman Brac? And that's what I've been doing, because I've never claimed to have all the answers. It's important that we get everybody's input. So
I'm always scared of people that have all the answers.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. They're very dangerous people. But no, so we're going to develop a plan, the Cayman Brac and Little Cayman that you want. Where do you see Cayman Brac needing to be in 10 years? What do you want it to look like? But there are certain things that need to happen immediately, like the cargo dock, for example. The cargo dock has been in its same position since 1981. They were unloading larger ships back then, more containers back then. But we have a crane that can't carry the capacity of a full container. There are certain things so it creates inefficiencies right now, and that drives up the costs for the people living in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. So those things we need to look at immediately to play catch up.
Right.
But do we need to extend the dock? Do we need to create a safe harbor? Do we need to build a high school? Do we need to expand pipe water on the bluff? All of these things, some things need to happen rapidly.
Everyone on the bluff is on cistern.
Everybody's on cistern. I mean, a lot of people still in Spot Bay. Everybody on South Side, everybody on the bluff is still on cistern. And that again is another thing that drives up your monthly cost, because I remember growing up as a kid, if electricity went out, you had no water to bathe because we had to pump the water into the house. And that pump runs up your electricity bill. Then you have to pay for trucking. Trucked water is more expensive because you require a driver, you require a truck. So all of these things we need to rapidly speed it up to provide more reliable water source for everybody on the bluff and south side. And especially Little Cayman. Right now, Little Cayman relies on privately owned RO plants for their water, that they can only create a maximum of 28 gallons per minute for all of the houses, all of the resorts, all of the businesses in Little Cayman. There's no constant supply of water. They have a deep well that the government uses. Sometimes that becomes brackish. Sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't go.
Sometimes it becomes brackish.
Yeah, they will say that it's drinkable, but it gets worse. So more brackish, I guess I should say. But we need that reliable supply for even the people that live there. What has happened over the years is that Little Cayman has been neglected and forgotten about. We always joke and say that Cayman Brac is treated as its own country. But Little Cayman is even worse, where our representatives and the people away from Little Cayman say, we know what's best for you. We'll make the decisions for you, but make do with what you got. And they aren't given the opportunity to say, well, we really need this. This hasn't been done in 10, 15 years. Can we get this fixed? Can we get this looked at? Nothing is provided. So I think going back to the question of where I want to see, firstly, there are critical issues that need to be upgraded, such as the crane at the dock, such as water supply, such as renewable energy, because we know the cost of living is high in Grand, but it's significantly more in Cayman Brac, and then even more in Little Cayman. So we want to get there where we have a sustainable plan. I can say, you know what, we need to do, just give you any project. I'm not going to say that I'm going to get it done in 1 year, in one term, 4 years. We need to be transparent about it, that this project may not be feasible until 9 years down the road, but it is coming. We lack a capital development plan, and we require our statutory authorities to do one. We require private businesses to do one for forward thinking and planning. Why hasn't the government done one? They wake up every 2 years when they're creating a budget and say, we're going to get this done. And then they fight over which project gets priority without a plan. So we'll be developing that plan, a timeline, so everybody can see that in a transparent way, what is going to happen in progression.
Okay. I wanted to ask, because you are in the most unique position out of any candidate.
Yep.
You're the only candidate that has to campaign in 2 islands.
Yep. Not only campaign in 2 islands, but serve in 2 islands.
And serve in 2 islands.
So, I mean, that's been fun. It's been interesting. Last week, I had a meeting in Little Cayman. It was a social gathering, meet and greet. We discussed we had intimate conversations with everybody that was there. But again, it goes back to neglect and ensuring that you don't disappear, because they are your constituents. You may look at Little Cayman and say it's small.
What's the population over there?
It's about 200.
Okay.
It goes up and down high season because you have residents, but not year-round residents, right? But there are 50 voters in Little Cayman. That may seem small to some people, but last election, people lost by 50 votes. So it's critical that their needs are also addressed, because they're real needs. So we can't just forget about them. So we've been flying back and forth. Sometimes we catch a boat, sometimes we don't. But it's always an adventure.
I wanted to ask, because it's something that's somewhat near and dear to my heart. And I think it's the crown jewel of all 3 islands. Mm-hmm. Is Point Asan.
Yep.
I think it is the most spectacular beach that we have to offer. Mm-hmm. It is amazing. If no one's been there, if you have not been there, I would urge you to go. The snorkeling out there is phenomenal. Yep. It is close to shore. Mm-hmm. It is untouched. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
It's unfortunately it's not owned by the government.
Yep.
I've made I guess this is like a personal thing where I would hope the government could work something out where they could acquire that and keep that the way it is in perpetuity. But right. I don't know what kind of stance or views would you have on that? No,
of course. I mean, I spent many weekends at Point Asan. We would get into the boat, run over on a Sunday afternoon, anchor off at Point Asan before we even had a dock there, but anchor off, and we would swim, have a picnic. That was the place to be on the weekend, and it still is the place to be. We always want to ensure that those special treasures are reserved for our people to enjoy. Just like the lighthouse on Cayman Brac. We worked out an agreement with the landowner, because all that was owned with the lighthouse at the highest point in the Cayman Islands was just where the structure is.
Right.
Nothing around it was owned by the Crown. So the government worked out a deal where 2 acres surrounding the lighthouse is now owned by the Crown in exchange for other parcels of land or purchasing something else. So I would like to see that happen to Point Asan, where perhaps not the entire space, but the most important space is transferred over to the Crown, even if it requires some negotiation for something else. Obviously, it needs to benefit the Caymanians.
Right.
But I think that is something that should be owned by the people and for the people.
Yeah, I think it's the crown jewel, man. I absolutely love it.
For sure.
It is special.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask, your career-wise, you spent the last 4 years working directly inside government.
Yes.
What was your role in government, and what was your experience like these past 4 years inside that?
So I started off in August of 2021 with being the content and communications coordinator in the office of the premier. So I handled mostly the social media, coordinating messaging with external media, supporting all the ministers and members of caucus in that role. And a year later, then I transitioned to caucus secretary, where I managed all of the interministerial relations with the office of the premier. I managed the weekly caucus meetings and attended the caucus meetings. The most daunting task was probably the minute taking for those meetings. But we met every Monday from sun up until sundown.
Right.
Literally.
What was that? I guess what kind of knowledge and experience do you feel like that really brought to you and that you gained through that?
To be honest, where I am today is because of that job. I gained so much insight into how ministries work, the process that it takes to create budgets for the government. I went through a budget cycle where all of the ministers had to come and present their budgets, justify all of their requests in the budgets. I went through ministry by ministry, identifying areas that we could increase because of the needs that were there, but also decrease to create balance. I just had a broad overview. I dealt with cabinet papers. I dealt with submissions to cabinet. So, I mean, anything of moving policies forward, vast experience in it.
Right.
It gave me a lot of knowledge.
So the decision to step away from that, given the fact that you said you now have a 4-month-old.
Yep.
And I guess the baby would have been born. I guess you already made a decision to join the National Party right as you were about to have the child?
Actually, no. So the baby was born in November.
Right. And
I was in conversation with a lot of people. Everybody was coming after me from all sides, wanting me to join them. But I told each one of them, I said, I'm happy to have conversations with what I see for the country, what I see for Cayman Brac. I'm happy to hear your vision for it, but I can't make a commitment with anybody while I'm sitting around the table with government. It's unfair to them and it's unfair to you. Because I was in a role where I was supporting, work-wise, the government of the day. So I didn't make any commitment to anybody during that time. It wasn't, I resigned effective January 17th, and the Monday after, I joined the Cayman Islands National Party.
So what was that conversation like? I'm assuming that you spoke with Dan. He probably sat you down, and what made you want to sign with the National Party?
I think it's about, after all the conversations that I had, I felt a deeper connection with the passion for serving Caymanians across the country, putting Caymanians first, ensuring that all policies that will come about must benefit our people. All decisions must benefit our people. Another thing that has been lacking in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman has been two MPs that work together and go in as a team. So that was an easy point for me as well, where the people of Cayman Brac told me we need a team to work together for us. So in discussions with Dan, it was a natural fit that we are going to go into this election together for all people. No matter if you live in Cayman Brac East, you can count on me. No matter if you live in Cayman Brac West, you can count on Dan. And we have been doing that. Dan has a meeting, I go to it. I have a meeting, Dan comes to it. We support each other. Because, again, Cayman Brac is already isolated. We don't need to create division on a 12-mile island where you have two separate sides and you don't work together to support all the people. So that was probably the reason why, or the biggest reason why I decided to go with the Cayman Islands National Party, Caymanians first, and also it provided the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman the opportunity to have a team from the outset.
So I guess let's go to, a more grand, no pun intended, scale or vision. I've heard you speak about cost of living, and some ideas that you had around things that you would want to see implemented for cost of living. Let's, dive into a couple of those when it came down to shipping.
Sure.
And your ideas around shipping goods to the islands and how we could reduce costs around that.
And it was a daunting task last night to speak about cost of living at our rally because they were very strict on us, saying you only had 5 minutes to speak. And I was like, how am I going to speak about cost of living in 5 minutes? So I did go over my time just a tad, maybe double the time, but I wanted to highlight some special issues like shipping into the Cayman Islands, and especially into Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, because it's unfair what happens in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman with shipping, because currently the retailers order their goods for their supermarkets and individuals order stuff for their families. It comes in a container ship. It gets offloaded, completely offloaded in Grand Cayman. Then it sits at the port. Then it's loaded onto a barge. Then it's shipped over to Cayman Brac. And all of that adds costs. Mm-hmm. And not only do we pay duty on the shipping to Grand Cayman, we pay duty on the shipping between Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac as well. All of that adds costs because the final destination is Cayman Brac. So not the first port of entry, but because it's going to Cayman Brac, they charge us duty on that. How that makes sense? I don't know. They seem to confuse the definition of the word import. Import is into the country, not domestic shipping. But for some reason, they've been getting away with it. Despite my pleas, despite my cries about trying to fix it, they have not fixed it. So we need to look at a way to create better, more efficient ways of shipping goods into the country, and whether I believe that the government can negotiate fairer trade deals and negotiations with our neighboring countries that produce goods already, that items are manufactured in those countries, and negotiate trade agreements for our retailers here, that we can bypass them having to be shipped to the US, that's a cost, and then shipped to Cayman, that's another cost. Let's go straight and get the products directly to Cayman. Additionally, if we could upgrade the crane in Cayman Brac, that ship on its way, seaboard for example, when it leaves Jamaica, it has to cross the sister islands to get to Grand Cayman. So if we were to upgrade the crane in Cayman Brac, we could unload those containers for Cayman Brac first, and then the ship just continues on to Grand Cayman. Reduces the shipping cost, reduces the duty. It creates more efficient lives for our people. So that's one element of food security, where we ensure that what's coming into the country is at the best deal for our people here. The other thing for food security would be to grow here at home. Grow what you eat what you grow. But we also need to be innovative about it. We have limited land mass here in the Cayman Islands, and we can't afford to use it all for farming, use it all for renewable energy, for example. So we have to be innovative. There's a company already set up here, Primitive Greens, that is using innovation to provide that produce for our people. They haven't been getting the support that they need to bring it full scale. But that's one thing that we need to do. We could easily put a container farm on Cayman Brac, a container farm in Little Cayman. Because by the time lettuce gets to Little Cayman, it's already 7 weeks old.
Right, yeah.
But if they could grow their leafy greens right there in Little Cayman, they don't have to import it. That's one less expense. So we need to look at innovation, smarter technology, hydroponics, vertical farming. All of that will reduce land requirement, but also provide cheaper food for our people. So,
and I guess the biggest elephant that everyone will always talk about is CUC costs.
Yep.
And how we can bring that down. Recently, CUC did, I guess, a fairly decent solid for us, where I think they reduced the fuel cost by 16% in January or something like that.
Yep.
Hopefully, we could see new innovations to bring that down further.
Yeah.
But moving forward, if elected, what kind of ideas would you have for CUC reduction?
So first and foremost, what we're going to do, you know that there's a fuel factor charge on your bill that is basically a pass-through cost to the consumer that you pay. And I want to say, not only CUC, Island Energy, and Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. I got to plug that. Because the relief is coming for all, right? Right? But there's a fuel factor charge on your bill that's passed through to consumers for the cost of generating the electricity that you use. But in addition to that, there is a duty that's charged on the imported diesel that the utility companies use that's collected by the government. What we want to do for all Caymanians for their primary homes is to remove that duty that's charged. So you will no longer pay the import duty on the fuel that's used to generate your electricity. That's the first and easy thing. The second thing, I think, is to support our utility companies with ways that can lower the cost. CUC is doing great with importing batteries to store the electricity that's been generated that they can't use right away, but it provides them with a reliable source to generate power later on. Government can provide incentives for our utility companies to do more of that. Support them in doing that, because the thing is, we would love to see all houses roll out solar, but the excess energy would just go to waste.
Right.
And of course, it's not feasible for every single house to buy their own battery. But if we could assist Island Energy and CUC with purchasing these batteries that store the excess energy that's sold back to the grid, then perhaps at night, the entire country could be run on battery. It would reduce the fuel. You automatically, dramatically reduce the fuel factor on your bill. And that's the way we need to go. Because again, like I said, every time I fly to Grand from the Brac, I look at the solar farm in Bodden Town. That is a massive piece of land, but only contributes 4% of our renewable, or 4% of our electricity generation in Grand Cayman from that massive piece of land. We can't afford to give up all of our land for that purpose. So we need to find more innovative ways to bring down the costs. We can utilize all rooftop spaces across Cayman, across the Brac, install them, send the excess power back to the electricity company, and then store it in batteries. But I think the government needs to be a partner in that, because again, that investment from the utility company gets passed on to the consumers. What we're trying to do is provide relief, not put more tax on the people's backs. So yeah.
One of the things that I guess has been a cornerstone in the National Party has been centered around finance and government spending specifically. Mm-hmm. What is it about government spending that you guys want to address specifically?
So we just need to cut the fluff. Find where the fat is, cut the fat. Because government, so when we talk about these initiatives that we want to do, we're always asked, so where's the money going to come from? What revenue are you going to propose? But new revenue means new tax on the people's backs. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to make life easier. There are certain elements in the budget that are just fluff, can be cut, can be reduced. For example, one way that we could immediately slash prices, we all know about economies of scale. The more you buy, the less price you pay. If we centralize procurement for stationery, for example, one big order for all stationery for all departments, and then you have to sign it out, you have to purchase it from internal government, you can immediately see a 15% reduction in your costs for each department, for each ministry. That's one way of saving money. So what we're going to do is not create new revenue streams that affect the people, but reduce expenses in smarter ways, utilizing technology, utilizing common sense, like centralizing procurement.
I wanted to ask, because it's been brought up before, the idea of cruise ships over in Cayman Brac.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about that? I've never really, I guess, thought about it extensively and how it would work, but I guess now that you're here,
yeah, I mean,
I can ask about it.
We've had the occasional cruise ship that has come. We don't have the carrying capacity to carry even a ship that has 1,000 people or 2,000 people. What we have is a unique boutique service that we can handle a ship that is 250 passengers, 300 passengers. These luxury cruises, they come on, they get a unique experience where they can do a day tour of the island. They can see all of the nature trails. They can visit the caves. They can see the highest point of the Cayman Islands at the lighthouse. And so it's great. I think if we can have it on a regular basis, it provides opportunities for our vendors to sell their craft, to sell the island, and show the uniqueness of Cayman Brac. But again, we don't have the infrastructure in place or the services to service those higher passenger ships. So we need to focus on those who, I guess, sell a different experience.
So you see it from time to time that even one of those boats come here, it's like a more boutique boat. It looks almost like a kind of like a big sailing boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I see it comes here like maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah. Those are the Star Flyer boats. So, or ships, I guess, because they're not a boat. But I mean, they're the type of ships that we need coming because it's a different audience. They're kind of into the nature. They're not going to just come off the boat, go to the beach. And I mean, we have no beachfront bars that the guests can go to, like what the Carnival lines people may look for in Grand Cayman, where they go get daiquiris, they do this. No, we have Cayman Brac is special where it's focused on nature, ecotourism. And that's a product that people want to experience. So I think that we can continue the relationship with those smaller boutique cruise lines and bring people there on a smaller scale that is manageable.
So I wanted to ask, because if the National Party is in power, you guys will have to be, I think, because I don't think they broke ground yet, but you guys would eventually, I think, have to manage the Cayman Brac High School project.
Yes.
It's already been projected to be several $1 million ahead of the original budget.
Yep.
That's a huge expense.
Yes.
On us. What are your thoughts around that school, and I guess the unforeseen costs that may be coming on?
So
obviously, you're not privy to the books and stuff.
Exactly. We only have the information that you have that's been reported. We don't know the dollars and cents of it. We know that the price is high. I don't think you'll find anyone that will argue, whether they're in the Brac or Grand, that Cayman Brac does not need a school. There's been the argument that you could expand the current school, but where would this current school expand to? Expand to the sea? Because that's all the space that we have left is behind the school. So we're trying to retreat away from the ocean because we know what's coming. The bluff is the safest place. So we need a new school. I think that we could have done better with the design to perhaps, because it's not only the capital cost of building, we have to worry about the operational cost as well. And we already know the electricity is more expensive in Cayman Brac than Grand Cayman. So it's that operational cost, I think, that is the more frightening part than the capital. Because the capital is an investment in the people, but operational costs can be daunting year over year. So it all depends. We'll see how far the school gets when the government gets in, but I don't think in our conversations the National Party has any desire to stop the school. It's not my desire to stop the school, personally. As I said, Cayman Brac needs a new high school. The current school floods when it drizzles. There's no place to expand, so we need a new school. We just need to look and see if we can have some flexibility with the design to make it more feasible for the future.
How old is the current school?
I want to say this current school is at least 50 years, if my memory serves me correctly. I went to that school. My mother went to that school. Dan's father was the first principal of the school. So that's how long that school has been there. The classrooms haven't changed. When it has changed, during my time, we added on 2 additional classrooms. We turned a storage room into a classroom.
Oh my God.
The music room is currently a trailer. The hall that everyone uses is a modular hall. And we turned the old school hall into 3 classrooms. So it's like we have been trying to expand based on need, but all we can do is put down trailers. It'll be the new trailer park eventually. So we do need a school. It needs to be upgraded.
Okay.
Bottom line.
So I guess moving forward now, back on the campaign trail.
Yep.
What are the things that you've kind of enjoyed on the road in the past? I guess you've been campaigning now 2 months.
2 months. Yep. It's been a wild ride. We like to say that there's a wave coming and we're riding it. The purple wave, of course. But it's been fun. I think that what I've been enjoying the most is the energy at all the meetings, because I think people are just looking for that hope. They're looking for the better days to make their lives better, because no Caymanian should just be working or living, struggling to survive. We need to ensure that we have an environment where opportunities aren't just words, but realities for all, and that we thrive in our own country. So getting to sit down with the younger people, with the older people, with the working people, it's been enjoyable to hear everyone still have some hope that things will get better. And we're going to work to deliver that hope.
All right. Well, D, where are we at for time? We're looking... Okay. So I just want to ask you then, any closing comments you want to make to your constituents, to why they should be putting down an X by DaCosta come April 30th?
No, of course. I mean, it's been a privilege and an honor serving my people in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman for years now. As I mentioned, serving people has been something that I've always strived to do in a role, and also bring about positive change in their lives. So my dedication is first and foremost to the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, but generally as well to all Caymanians in the Cayman Islands, including you, Chris. So we're going to work hard to deliver those better days for all. And I just ask you to support me, to support your future, to support your children's future. Vote for me on April 30th. And of course, vote for the Cayman Islands National Party across the Cayman Islands, because opportunities aren't just going to be words that we speak, but they're going to be actions that bring real positive change to your lives.
Mr. DaCosta, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
It's been my honor.
Safe travels back and forth.
Yes.
And work, I guess.
I know where the life vests are, so I'm good.
You should be able to fly that plane by now.
Hey, listen, I'm one flight away from having been certified, okay?
Got your 10,000 hours in,
yeah,
man.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you in the future.
Yeah, no, of course.
And the best of luck on the trail to you.
Hopefully I can get you over to the Brac.
Listen, I need some Star Island donuts. I am ready.
Yeah.
I am ready. It's been, when the last time I went? It's been like a few years. About like three years since. No, that's a lie. Yeah, no, 3 years since.
And you know about the Star Island donuts.
Absolutely.
So there you go. So we need to get you there and get them fresh ones.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm flying over for it.
So
for sure.
So the next show that we have in Cayman Brac, I'll fill the center table with all the donuts. Sorry.
You gonna bring us over with the cameras?
Listen,
hey, we got to do it in Star Island. And
I tell you, we can do it in Star Island. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I mean, by then I should be able to fly the plane by myself. So we got all the space in the world.
All
yeah.
Right. Oh man. All right. Let me get us out of here. Thank you for tuning in to the Link Up podcast. Lieber's going to kill me, but to the Before the Ballot series. You've been tuning in to listen to Mr. Nickolas DaCosta, candidate for...
Speaking into being, go ahead.
I got to get myself in trouble. Candidate for Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. You've been tuned into the Link Up podcast. Until next time.